Hey everyone, thank you for joining today. This is day 2 of the Skelton brothers evidentiary hearing for John Skelton, the father of 3 boys, Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner. 15 years ago, they vanished from Muncie, Michigan over Thanksgiving weekend. John Skelton is finally facing open murder charges in a courtroom. For over a decade, the core question in this no body prosecution has not been answered. Can the justice system hold a suspect accountable for murder without physical remains, relying on shifting lies and circumstantial digital evidence? So, do you think the prosecution has enough circumstantial evidence to secure a murder conviction without physical remains? That's something I'd like you to add to the comments. I would like to see them and see what everybody thinks. And if you could subscribe for ongoing coverage for the preliminary hearing that's unfolding, since this is day 2, my streams from yesterday were morning and afternoon. So day 1, part 1, day 1, part 2 are out there. And this morning we're doing day 2, part 1, depending on how long the day goes. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and start the stream from the beginning, and we will watch it together and see what we find out, what comes to light, and then based on what you see, please add your comments. I would appreciate that very much. This is a case that's been outstanding, like I said, over 15 years. And as I titled this episode, Let Justice Prevail. We shall see. So let me take me off cam.
All right, please. This is in the matter of John Skelton 252286. Just a few housekeeping matters. Please, everybody, make sure your phones are on mute or turned off. Please do not take any photos or use your phones to record in any way, shape, or form. If any of you are a subpoenaed witness, you'll need to wait in the hallway, and please do not discuss your testimony with anyone else, even after you testify. I believe that we left off yesterday with Donna Galloway. Ms. Galloway, come on up, or Pastor, whatever you want to be. I'm going to swear you again, it's just good practice. Other. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated, give your full name for the record.
Donna Galloway.
We're going to start with cross-examination by counsel.
Good morning, Mr. Galloway. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, and where are you a pastor, ma'am?
I am currently retired.
Where were you a pastor?
I was a pastor at Morenci United Methodist Church. That was my last pastoral assignment.
Okay, how long were you there?
Little more than 11 years.
Did you work anywhere before then? Were you a pastor in the other churches?
Yes.
Where were they at?
Niles, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 4 years overseas in Zambia, Africa, Lincoln, Michigan, Elma, Michigan. See if I got them all. Benton Harbor, Michigan. Almost forgot that one.
And how many years would you say you've been a pastor total?
I was ordained in 1979.
So you had a very long career.
Yes, yes.
So was John a member of your church?
No, he was not a member. He was a person who attended on a regular basis.
Okay, now when somebody comes to you to speak, is there any privilege involved?
There is, if it's just that person and myself, there would be.
And if there's not, there is no privilege?
No.
Now, you spoke yesterday about you kept trying to get John to do what? Said you made numerous calls to John, correct?
I didn't make any calls to him.
Okay.
He,
How did you communicate with John?
Okay. You're going to have to be patient and let her finish what she's saying.
yeah, I didn't make any calls to John. Any of the calls were made by him, and they were generally to Tanya, which then were passed to me. So that's how the conversations were. Or when I was asked to go in person to see him, I then went to the hospital and also to the jail to see him, because he requested that I come.
How many times do you think you spoke to him after Thanksgiving of 2010? If you know.
I would have to say at least a dozen times.
And was John always the one initiating those meetings, or were you initiating some of them?
I didn't initiate any of them.
Did the police ever ask you to initiate any meetings?
No.
Were the police involved in any of the meetings?
Involved to a degree, they were there. There was usually an FBI agent, or in an instance at the hospital, because he was in protective custody. I guess that's what it was called. There was a police officer there. I'm not sure if it was the sheriff, or I wasn't concerned with that. That's not what I was there for. Didn't matter.
What were you there for?
I was there for the sole purpose of helping John and praying with John, but also trying to find out if he would say where the boys were.
Did you ever come to the conclusion he didn't know?
No,
And why is that?
because he was evasive and he was skipping around things. I've spent a lot of time with people, and he always seemed, when I said, he'd ask me a question. For example, will Tanya ever love me again? I don't know if Tanya will ever love you again, but I know that it could change if you would tell her where the boys are at. That was, at that point, my goal was to bring the boys home.
In these conversations, there were always police around, is that correct?
Yeah, There was never a time that they weren't somewhere. There was an observation room at the hospital that had FBI agents in it. And at the hospital also, there was an agent sitting in the room. They were kind of off in the corner, but they were there. They had conversation.
Now, you mentioned an observation room. Was that in the hospital?
That was in the hospital.
So,
Because he was being observed because of the suicide attempt.
now, did you ever have any private time with him? Or was it just you and John?
Never any private time. I mean, there was always somebody else there somewhere.
So every conversation you had with John, there was a third party at least in the room?
Yes.
And how about the phone calls?
The phone calls, those were usually very brief, and there may have been, I know at several occasions, there was an FBI agent standing next to me, listening to the conversation.
Did John know an FBI agent was listening? Do you have any idea?
I don't know if he did or not.
Did you ever tell him that?
No,
Why didn't you? Do you think that was important for him to know?
it never occurred to me that I needed to tell him. He called to talk to Tanya, not to talk to me, and now he's talking to me, so.
You seem to have some opinions about the case. Would that be fair?
Opinions? Absolutely.
Okay. And you feel like you're a good judge of character? Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Do you feel when you and John were commencing that he felt it was supposed to be just between you two?
No,
You
no,
don't feel that?
no. He called to have me come. He was in custody, or at my understanding, because police were there. But I talked to him as if it was just him and I, but I was aware that the agent was in the room, and as he had to have been, because he was sitting there in a chair.
Do you think with an FBI agent in a room, he'd be able to have a comfortable conversation with his pastor?
Your Honor, I'll object to the cause for speculation on the part of the witness.
As if she thinks. She could say yes or no, Judge.
I understand that, but we know that there was somebody sitting in the room. Whether she perceived that it was comfortable, that really is not relevant. She went ahead and had a conversation.
You mentioned yesterday the conversation that convinced you that John committed this horrible crime, right?
Yes,
Okay. When did that conversation occur?
that occurred on an evening, would have been this Friday night, Saturday. Sometimes days run together, but the conversation I won't forget.
Okay. But you don't remember when it occurred? If you don't, it's okay.
I just know where I was and what was said.
Where were you?
I was in the conference room at the police department, in the area of the conference room where I could see the front office part of the police department with the front counter. And that's where Tanya and friends were on the other side. I was kind of in the middle where I could see into the council room, and then down to where there were some other small rooms. So I was in a fairly open area.
So just to be clear, and please educate me, did this conversation occur on the phone or were you in person?
On the phone.
Okay. And did police officers hear this conversation?
There was an FBI agent standing next to me.
So while you remember the exact dates, this was definitely 2010, correct?
Yeah, right there during the time that everything was being investigated and checked out, or was trying to find the boys.
And did you ever speak to the police after that?
Did I speak to the police after that?
Mhm.
Yes, I did.
Do you have an idea how many times from 2010 until now that you've had interviews with the police?
No, probably twice, maybe 3 times.
Only 2 or 3 times?
Yeah,
So to be clear, is it true that the police knew of this conversation that you and John had in November of 2010? Is that an accurate statement?
no,
It's not?
I, at that time, I didn't tell anyone that because I did not want to influence anything. And I still kept believing and kept hoping that I was totally wrong.
So I want to be clear.
The FBI agent that was standing next to me, when I told her, when she asked me what he said and if she understood what he said, and I said, yes, she did. She understood it correctly. We sat there on the floor and we cried.
So to be clear, I understand it's a touchy subject. It's tough for you. Did you tell the FBI agent what you and John discussed in November of 2010?
That he said, if,
Okay, I'm gonna back up because I think this is an important and salient point. You said that there was an FBI agent standing with you. Were you speaking on just the phone or on the speakerphone?
on just the phone, just the phone.
And was she able to hear the conversation based on what? your
She could hear, yes. She could hear parts of it. How much she actually heard, I don't know.
After she heard at least parts of the conversation, did she ever question you about the conversation?
No,
And did you tell any other law enforcement about this conversation?
Your Honor, I'll object to can we put a time frame on this, Mr. Amadeo?
Sure. And from the time you got the conversation, time you allegedly had the conversation until the end of 2010, did you share this information with law enforcement? Other than the FBI agent who was on the floor with you?
I may have told Larry
Yes.
Weeks,
Larry Weeks?
but Larry never interrogated me. We were more just supporting one another in the situation.
What do you mean by that, Pastor Galloway?
I mean that he never interrogated me. He didn't say, okay, we're going to talk official. We're going to, it was, example, he called me one day and asked how I was doing and if I'd gotten any information. You know, people were calling all the time, offering, I don't know how many psychics I talked to who called and said, oh, I know this, I know that. And I just ignored those. I did let Larry know if somebody told me something that could make a difference, but there was never any real interrogation. It was more supporting and encouraging each other to just keep moving along, to do what we could do for each other and for our community. There was a lot of talk and gossip and and people had this idea and that idea, and between he and I think we helped to keep things a little calmer than what they would have been had we not done that.
So during the investigation, would you say that Larry Weeks was more of a friend than a police officer in this process?
Larry was a friend, yes, but he was always a police officer, and I was always aware of the fact that he was a police officer.
And when you had conversations with Larry about this case, did he always make police reports, or did he decide when to hand reports in? Do you know?
I don't know.
So it's quite possible you and Larry discussed this case and he chose just to keep it inside. Would that be a fair statement?
I don't know what he did. I just know that I never had any official interrogation or official, we're gonna go through this kind of situation.
Now, you mentioned psychics. Where did that come from, ma'am?
It came from all kinds of places.
Well, could you explain that to the court?
Well, I got phone calls at the church. I got phone calls at my home on my cell phone. I got email messages. There were all kinds of things. There was something different every day for quite some time.
When, if you know, did all this communications with psychics start?
I didn't. You make it sound like I was not having conversations with psychics. People would send me an email and say, I'm a psychic and I had a vision and the boys are in a blue house, and I just deleted those. It wasn't information that was valid. I mean, I suppose you could check every blue house in the neighborhood, but that wasn't what occurred to me at that time.
How long did this happen where psychics were reaching out to you? Do you
Pardon?
know? How long do you think it was that psychics reached out to you about this case, to the best of your knowledge?
It probably started the day that it all hit the news. There were a few days where I didn't look at my emails. I wasn't interested in that. I had other more important things to do than look at emails or I mean, I could compare the number of times that reporters called me. I got more calls from reporters than I did from psychics, and I did pretty much the same thing with those as I did with the psychics.
Do you know why reporters or psychics would be reaching out to you about this case?
Because I was pretty visible in the whole part of it.
What do you mean?
Because Morenci United Methodist Church is a body of believers that when I made the call and said, we need to do something, they did something. They made food and soup and things and came to the fire department to provide whatever was needed for the searchers. They were there to help see if there was anything. I mean, if somebody would have said, Don and Bev need a gallon of milk, somebody from my church would have gone and got it. That's the kind of church that it was, and that's the kind of community that Morenci is. That if somebody needed something, somebody was always there. And I kind of was coordinating all of that.
So would it be fair to say that you were a very respected member of the community?
I hope so.
And you shared this information about what you deem to be a confession with Larry Weeks.
Oh, no, I never said that it was a confession.
Okay, well, how about this? What would you term it up? You said yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, that when you had this conversation with John,
Mhm.
in your heart,
Said yes.
Yes,
that made you believe he was guilty, correct? Or do you not know?
when he told me, Pastor Donna,
Mhm.
you of all people must understand what I mean when I say I sent them home. That, at that point, that was when the hope and that was when the hope and the thoughts that I would see the boys again and that it would be a happy reunion was gone. That cut so deep in me that it was hard for me to continue encouraging. It was hard for me to continue supporting. It was hard for me to even take the next phone call because I am a person who looks forward. I always have been. And at that point, when I say I sent them home, you should know my opinion then, I guess, would have been that he had taken their lives and they were in heaven because he wouldn't say where they were. He wouldn't say what happened. But Pastor Donna, you of all people must know what I mean. And I didn't want to know what he meant. And I didn't want to believe that that's what he meant. But I guess that became my opinion.
Pastor, did you ever consider the fact that he really didn't know where the children were?
That's the answer, Your Honor.
I don't think I asked that particular question.
No. The boys were with him. They were with him and then they weren't. It just seemed a kind of a straight line for me. You know, if you have them, you have them. If you don't, where are they? As a parent, you should know.
So respectfully, at the risk of being repetitive, I just want to be clear. Is it true you never considered the fact that John did not know where these boys were?
Again, asked and answered.
Well,
I think she has answered it.
since
No, she didn't consider that.
Now, since 2010, have you continued to work with the police in any manner on this case?
If they've called me, I've answered questions.
And have they called you?
Not until it came time for a trial, or, I mean, it wasn't something that, you know.
When did the police reach out to you again before today? Do you remember?
It was the sergeant, and it was when around the time that John was coming up to be released.
Oh, so to be clear and to get my timeline correct, was it right before John was to be released that the police reached out to you?
First of all, at foundation, I would like to know, because this is something I have to,
So, sure.
Um,
Judge.
Pastor, do you know the exact date that he was being released?
no, I do not know. Just got a phone call asking if I would be available, and I said I would be available no matter where I was. Yes.
Well, a few minutes ago, Pastor, you said it was right before he was released. How did you know he was about to be released? Do you remember that?
I read the newspaper. I keep track of things.
Did you and the police ever discuss him getting released from prison?
No,
So, based on your knowledge about reading the newspaper, you knew when John was getting released. Is that a fair statement?
yeah, not necessarily the newspaper, mostly on, I read the stuff, Michigan news online.
Do you remember how long before you believed he was going to be released the police reached out to you, if you had the ballpark?
No, I don't.
Okay. And what was the content of the conversation? You don't have to get into specifics, but what was the general theme of the communications with you and the police before John got released from prison?
Just that they wanted to review some things in the case, and would I be willing to come and speak with them?
And did you go meet with them?
Well, no, I didn't. I ended up speaking to them from the phone. I got as far as I at that time I lived in Escanaba.
Is that Michigan?
Yeah, that's
I've never-
Michigan.
never
Yeah,
heard of
in the UP.
Not in the metro area.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes, that would be. Yeah, so I was living in Escanaba at that time. I got as far as my daughter's in Kalamazoo, and then went to a birthday party where I fell and injured myself,
I'm sorry.
jumping on trampolines with my 4 and 7-year-old grandsons, which I shouldn't have been doing at my age. And so I did not meet with anyone then. We just had some conversation on the phone, and would I be willing if they needed me to come? And that's basically what it was. And I said yes.
Between 2010 and now, did you come across any new evidence that would point in my client's direction of being the killer?
I wasn't looking for any evidence. I was living my life.
So, is it fair to say then everything from 2010 you shared with the police, and they just did a follow-up interview with you to see if you come forward and testify? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say that's a fair statement.
So, when John allegedly made this statement to you in 2010, the police knew he wasn't charged with murder, was he?
No,
And based on your knowledge, and I'm just asking about your knowledge, nothing else, has anything changed as far as you're concerned from 2010 to now?
in my knowledge?
Yeah.
No,
I want to wrap it up with this, and thank you for your time, Pastor. 2010, you shared a statement with the police. The police contact you right before he was released from prison, and you have no new evidence to present from 2010 to now. And he wasn't charged with murder in 2010, was he?
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
I'll withdraw.
Summary asked and answered.
I'll withdraw, but
Completely asked and answered.
No editorializing, please.
I'll do my best not to summarize. I would expect the same courtesy from the people, Judge. Thank you.
I think that's fair.
Nothing further.
Correct.
So recalling yesterday's testimony just a bit, okay?
okay,
You hurry home from Hubbard Lake area on Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving on the 26th, and you indicated you arrived at Don and Bev's house that evening.
yes,
It was at that first evening that a phone call went to Tanya that you picked up.
yes.
Did you pick it up, or how did you get the phone to you on that occasion?
Somebody handed it to me. There were a lot of people in the house. There was a lot of things happening.
So that conversation occurred, and that was at Don and Bev Zuvers' home.
Yes,
And later that night, that's when you go to the hospital?
yes,
Okay. You testified about that. You're in the room. There's a police officer or an FBI agent in the room with you.
right.
The phrase you used was protective custody.
That's what I understood.
Okay. So you're there for a while.
Yes.
And this would be on the evening of the 26th,
Mhm.
late
Yes,
in the evening, right?
yes,
Okay. All right. The next day, you find yourself at what you called yesterday was the command center.
right.
Tell us what the command center is.
That was the police station. There was a conference room. There was some smaller spaces, some smaller rooms, office. Just your typical small town police station.
And that's where the phone call occurs that triggers you sliding down the wall and then crying on the floor.
Yeah.
That you've spoken about several times.
Yes,
Okay. Now, Mr. Amadeo asked you a question about whether or not you consider that to be a confession. And I guess I want to ask you a question more of a religious nature. By confession versus admission, am I getting on the right track here? You tell me.
I don't know what you would call it. As a pastor, I have never taken confession. I can't absolve anyone of anything. And if he had used specific and graphic, that may have been different. But he was speaking to me on a spiritual level, not on a physical level, if that makes sense. Because we know things in our lives, and we know people that we can just say certain things and they understand exactly what we mean. And that was the spiritual connection, that when he said, sent him home,
It's that word home that triggered it.
that was, and the emphasis, you of all people should know what I mean. when I say I sent them home.
And this was the phone call into the command center to Tanya.
Yes, it was to Tanya. The phone was handed over to me because she was not speaking with him.
So subsequent to that, those three segments of time, the phone call at Don and Bev's house, the meeting at the hospital late that evening, and the command center discussion on the phone call to Tanya. Do you recall speaking to a special agent by the name of Scott Ballack from the FBI and giving him that information?
I talked with Scott. We had a kind of a good connection. I'm sure I probably said something, but that specific conversation,
If I would show you the summary of the police report, would that help refresh your memory?
that might do that.
Might, okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may. While you're reading this, make sure you read it just yourself.
It's fairly long.
Are we talking about Scott Ballack, B-A-L-L-A-C-K?
I believe that's correct. Set. So top right corner of this, what does that say?
12/10/2010,
What does it say to the left of that?
date of transcription.
What's the date down here?
11/28/2010.
And did we spell Mr. Ballack's name correctly?
I believe so.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
It's a couple, Judge. Scaleway, what hospital did you visit John at? Do you remember? Was it one, multiple?
No, I only visited him at one hospital. The I don't know if, I think it was Toledo, but it may have been Wasion.
And you mentioned spirituality. Did you ever view the websites or anything that when they were looking for the children? Did you help in that process at all?
No, I had nothing to do with any of that.
And you said you've been a pastor since 1979. Is that correct? Before you retired?
Yes,
Were you close with members of your church?
Your Honor, this is beyond regret.
He mentioned spirituality. He mentioned the church.
I did not mention either one of those.
He actually did mention spirituality specifically.
I think that was the witness.
Okay. Spirituality was mentioned in one of the questions, and an issue of how she perceived the conversation. I don't know that the church was mentioned, but to the extent that it connects up in some way, I will allow it. If it does not,
As a spiritual person, do you believe in fairness and justice?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
As a spiritual person, do you believe in fairness and justice?
Absolutely.
The member of your church was charged with a crime without evidence. How would you feel about that?
Objection.
I'll withdraw.
that really does go to the court's obligation here, and that objection is good.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Judge.
No further questions, this witness show.
You may step down. Thank you. Is she free to stay, or
I have no objection to that.
yes, you may stay if you wish? You may call your next witness.
The people would call Frank Kramick, I'm not sure.
Frank, climb right up here. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated. Give the court your full name, spelling both first and last.
First name is Frank Benjamin Kramick, K-R-A-M-I-C.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Did you know John Skelton?
Not personally, but I worked with him.
Where at?
3D transport.
And do you recall what year that was?
Oh, gee, it's been probably about 15, 16 years ago.
Okay. So approximately around 2010, you think?
Yeah, around there, because I lived in Waldron at the time.
You were living in Waldron?
Yeah,
What did you do for 3D transport?
I was a driver.
Do you know what John Skelton did? For 3D transport, where did you drive to?
Sometimes we went to Chicago, sometimes we went to the East Coast. Just about wherever they wanted to send us.
Are there specific loads that you were taking back and forth?
We were taking copper rods, and then we'd bring back the junk after they, run so long on the machines. Sometimes we would go to the docks and pick up something from the ships and stuff.
Okay. When you say docks from the ships, where are you talking about?
That New York or Chicago, or not Chicago, but Baltimore.
Okay. All right. Where was 3D transport located?
They were located on Highway 127 outside of West Unity.
Is there an office there at that
Yes,
location?
there is.
Did you have to go into the office for any reason?
Yeah, I went in one Friday to pick up my check.
Just once?
Well, my wife usually picks it up, but that day I got in early, so I thought I'd pick it up.
Okay.
I beat her to it.
Is there any meeting space or conference areas at that location?
Well, when you come in the door, you got a desk, counter, and dispatchers and office people were behind her. And if Debbie had the checks done, she'd have them back there, and John came in, picked up his check with the boys. And I was standing there waiting for my check. I'm a newcomer at that time, didn't have a full year in. So I was kind of the lowest guy in the total pool. And they handed his check to him, and he opened it up, got a little upset because he said that he run AWS off and their child support taking all his money.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that whole last part.
I said, he said that the child support is taking most of his money. He ran his butt off for nothing.
Okay. He ran his butt off for nothing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he got a little upset, and he went to leave, and the youngest one was dragging his feet, and he told him to come on, and he smacked him back in the head, and they walked out the door, and that's the last I seen of him.
Okay. Would you have considered yourself friends with John at that
No.
time? Is there any other time that you had the opportunity to be around John while he's having conversations or anything like that?
No, I really didn't see him that much. The only time I've seen him was like in the office, or like that one day that I was outside talking to a few guys, and I didn't know John was behind me. And I said, I was thinking about going to Lost Nations to go bow hunting. And comment that he said was, Lost Nations, you got to bury a body out there between the swamp and the quicksand, and no one would ever find the body. And then he walked. But I don't know who all heard it. I know what I heard. He wasn't telling it.
Where was this at,
Out in the parking lot.
of the 3D transport? And you said there was a number of people there.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you who they were because it's been so long ago.
Okay. Even though you couldn't name any names, do you know if at that time they were employees of 3D
Oh,
transport?
yeah. They were drivers.
So you're having a conversation about going bow hunting
Yeah,
at Lost Nations?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Lost Nations?
no.
Have
But
you ever been?
It's big, and you can get lost if you don't know where you're going out there.
Okay, well, how do you know that?
Because my brother used to go out there.
Okay, so you don't have any personal knowledge, you've never been out there?
No. I don't even hunt anymore.
Did he say anything else about Lost Nations?
Nope, that was the end of the conversation. He went his way, and we walked, all split apart, and got in our trucks, and I had dispatched out, go pick up a load out of Mount Pear, pick up copper rods, and they were going to Pennsylvania.
When was the first time you had contact with law enforcement in this case?
Well, I seen it on the news where his picture came up, and then it was around after Thanksgiving that the kids came up missing. And for some apparent reason, that stuck to me about Lost Nations. And I talked to one of the investigators that, you might want to look there. At that time, we had an old factory that went out of business. And I even checked the factory to see if anybody, broke any windows or pried any doors open, because it'd be a perfect place to hide kids, or hide out from anybody.
Where's this old factory located?
It's in Waldron.
In Waldron.
The company went out of business, and it's completely empty. So I went all the way around the building checking, and nothing was broken, nothing was moved, nothing, everything was good. So
Okay. Do you know where Lost Nations is located at?
it's
Is
over
that-
in Hillsdale.
Okay, you gotta say yes or no. Okay. It's where at?
It's in Hillsdale.
Okay, do you know where at in Hillsdale?
I don't know the name of the road, but it's a dirt road off of it's off of M34.
Off of M34. Okay.
Yeah.
So when
Down
you're,
by, I think it's down by the Humane Society on that road. Down that way.
okay. So you're doing a little bit of research into going hunting out there. Do you know approximately how many acres
Oh,
you're looking at?
God. I'm really, it's gotta be over 500 acres at least, if not more.
And it's called Lost Nations. Is this a park, a preserve, what is it?
It's state park. You can hunt out there and used to be able to fish out there, but they closed the dam off.
Thank you. Nothing further. No.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Do you have any knowledge if John ever went to Lost Nations?
Nope, all I know is what he said.
Okay. And what did he say again?
He said, I can bury a body out in Lost Nations between the swamp and the quicksand. No one ever find it.
Now,
And
you,
he walked on.
you said you saw something on TV and it triggered something for you?
Yeah, I watched where they were saying that the children came up missing and he hadn't returned them back.
Okay. And
And
Go ahead.
I don't know, it just gave me an eerie feeling, and I needed to talk to the guys because I'd seen them out there looking for them over in Fayette.
did you help in any way?
Yeah, I went and told them I'd check out that factory. I came back and told them there was nothing there.
And there was nothing there, correct?
No.
How many times do you think you've talked to law enforcement since you reached out them initially?
I only did once,
Just one time?
yeah.
And do you have any knowledge about any of the evidence in this case?
Nope.
Nothing further. Thank you.
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Sir, you may step down and walk out, say if you wish.
Thank you.
You may call your next witness.
Next witness, Your Honor, will be Keith Prelip.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated. Give me your first and last names on both for the record.
First name's Keith, last name's Prevail, Preilipp.
You may.
Thank you. Mr. Prelip, do you know John Skelton?
Yes, he was an employee of ours when I worked at 3D Transport.
Is he in the courtroom today?
Yes, he is.
Could you identify him for Judge Shadler, please?
Pardon?
Could you identify him for Judge
Yeah,
Shadler,
he's
please?
sitting right there at the table.
Next to his attorney, Mr. Amadeo, in the orange.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Can you speak up? First of all, scoot right up there, and that is not an amplifying microphone, so you gotta keep your voice nice
Oh,
and
okay.
strong.
All right.
Thank
Yep.
you.
And Judge will stipulate for identification for prelim purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Amadeo.
No problem.
Now, Mr. Prelip, you mentioned that he worked at 3D Transport, is that correct?
Correct.
And you worked there as well?
Correct.
What did you do there?
I was a dispatcher there.
And how long did you work at 3D Transport?
I started off as a driver. Don't remember the exact year. But then worked to 2013, I think is when I left there. I started off as a driver and then got into dispatch in the office.
Okay, so you were there prior to 2010?
Yes.
A long time prior?
Gosh, I don't remember. I want to say like 2005 or 8, somewhere in there.
Okay, so you'd been there somewhere between 2 and 5 years before 2010 came around?
Yeah.
And you recall when Mr. Skelton came to work for 3D Transport?
I do.
When was that?
I think it was about 2009, maybe 2008, 2009, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. I'm going to show you a police report later on about when you initially told, when you thought he worked there, and we'll get that cleared up, okay? But
Okay.
let's move on. How did you have a relationship, discussions with him on occasion?
Basically just to inform him of, dispatches, loads, his work schedule, that type of stuff.
What did he do there?
What did he do there?
What did he do there?
He was a driver. He
So,
delivered and picked up broker loads.
okay, so tell Judge Shadler, please, what types of work 3D Transport did? Where did they go? What were their routes?
A lot of it, we hauled brass rod, steel coils, a whole lot of brass rod out of Montpelier area. Went to various places all over the Midwest, South, Texas, Midwest. They were our primary customer, but we had a few others, similar type of commodities. It was mostly flatbed stuff.
How many drivers did you normally have on call there?
At one time it varied. I want to say we usually average right around 50 drivers.
Okay. And besides yourself, were there other dispatchers, or was it just you?
There was what we call backhaul dispatcher. She helped bring them home, per se, getting backhauls to bring them home. Meanwhile, I was pretty much the outbound freight.
So Mr. Skelton was a driver. Was he a good worker there?
Yeah, he was
throughout the
initially.
time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Initially.
So you have to say yes or no as opposed to
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
I'm sorry, but because this is tape recorded, when people say,
Okay.
it's really hard to know whether it's a yes or a no, so it's best that we can have your voice.
Okay.
Thank you.
At some point in time, did problems develop with Mr. Skelton working there?
It did. Seems like his demeanor changed. I know they got into some relation issues, him and his wife, and he kind of slowly progressed as being less responsive to work orders, stuff like that.
Did at some point in time he had a trip down to Florida?
Correct.
Tell us about what happened. Tell us about that trip. Why was he scheduled to go to Florida?
He volunteered a lot for the Florida runs just because they were longer. A lot of the drivers wanted to be home most every night, if not every other night, where he has Florida runs took sometimes 3, 4, 5 days to get back home. So he volunteered for those at first. But then it got to the point where he wasn't delivering on time or trying to get the backhauls picked up on time.
What, if any, recollection do you have of him traveling down there to coincide with the high school reunion?
Seems like he'd asked to go down there. He had someone he knew down there, or classmates or something in the Jacksonville area. So he wanted to go back down there.
If I was to show you the report and the statement you gave earlier, would that help refresh your memory on this
Probably,
issue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a while ago.
Get that bill. May I approach, Renner?
We have a copy of this, Counselor.
He does. Take a second, read it to yourself, and I'll get back. Second page, too. Read the second page, too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So first of all, did that help refresh your memory on the issue as to when Mr. Skelton worked at 3D
Yes,
Transport?
it did. Yeah.
And when did he work at 3D Transport?
When did he work there?
Yes.
It looked like from the spring of 2010 to fall 2010.
Okay. And again, did this review of this report help you on the issue of the high school reunion question?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
He wanted to go down there. I know he said he had a family or a class reunion down there. and that he wanted to get down there for that. Other than that, I don't know what else you may need or
Okay.
looking for there.
Yeah, so he requested additional runs down to Florida. He was indicating
Yeah.
to you about a sick person he knew down there.
Yes, yes. He wanted the Florida runs. First was a class reunion. Then it got to the point where he had a sick friend down there who supposedly had cancer, I believe it was, from what he told me, a female. I never did get a name that I remember anyway. But he was pretty adamant about doing the Florida trips.
And he explained to you that this person that had cancer was a classmate of his?
He told me that, yes.
Now, when he was talking to you about this particular topic, would he look you in the eye?
No. He always kind of evaded eye contact.
Okay. At one time, did you have a conversation with his wife?
I believe she would come up and get his check on Fridays.
Okay.
And she said, I remember she didn't like him going on Florida runs anymore. So I know that's when we were starting to have a little trouble with him getting back home. So I kind of took him off the Florida runs at that time.
All right. And
What I remember.
because he was not getting an opportunity to go on the Florida runs, did his attitude change?
Yeah.
How so?
His just demeanor went downhill. He started getting into when they started getting into the counseling and stuff like that, I tried to arrange loads so he could still work, do the counseling. But still, he was still late on quite a number of occasions to get the loads delivered. Didn't like picking up backhauls, wanted to get home right away.
And at some time, did his attendance even become sporadic?
Yes.
Tell us about that,
Yeah.
please.
You couldn't book him. I tried to keep him on short runs, be 2-3 hours out, usually home that night, possibly the next day. But then it got to the point where he wouldn't bring backhauls back home. Like I say, he was always late. And it got to the point where, I just couldn't count on him to that. He'd become more of a liability to the company than he was a help.
At some point in time, did he ask you if you could fire him?
I don't know if I recall that.
Okay, I'm going to bring you back your report again in a minute. We'll get back to that in a second. As we got into, say, November, how sporadic was his actual drives occurring?
It was gotten more sporadic. If he was working, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember, dealt with so many drivers over the years that I'm thinking if he worked 1 or 2 days a week, that was probably the most, if I could get him to do that.
And how about earlier in the summer?
Summer, he was fine. Like I say, he started off good. It's just, he was on time. He was good to work with. I didn't have any issues with him until, supposedly, I guess, him and his wife were having issues at home, so, which is not uncommon among truck drivers.
A lot of this started to multiply after he was denied the Florida trips.
Definitely.
All right, can I approach again, Your Honor? I'm only going to give you the second page. Just gonna...
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So the question that I was asking about refreshing your recollection on the issue of whether or not he has to be fired, did that help you in that regard?
Yeah, it seems like he did. want a letter stating that he was being terminated. And I said, well, not really terminated. I have work for you. It's just, you're not showing up to work. So that would have been turning him over to Dan and Delmeyer at that time. They were the owners of the company.
So did he explain to you why he wanted to be terminated or have a letter indicating he was terminated?
I assumed it was for unemployment benefits. I wasn't real sure why he wanted one for that, but like I said, it didn't give him one. I would have been the person to give him a letter like that anyway.
You would have been happy to have him continue to work
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
because when he worked, he did a good job.
Yeah, for the most part, right up to the end.
So eventually you had to arrange for him, or you asked to arrange to him to turn the keys in.
Yes.
Why was that?
I could put someone else in the truck. You know, if he wasn't going to work for us, you know, I'd hire somebody else and put them in.
And what was the time frame where that occurred, if you recall?
I think it might have been that Friday before he came in and wanted the letter. And then I think it was that next Wednesday when he came in and brought his keys and fuel cards and stuff in.
You turned the keys in on Wednesday,
I think so.
and that would have been the day before Thanksgiving.
Yes,
So we're talking about November 24, 2010.
right.
Did you speak to him on that day?
I'm thinking I probably did. I was there that day, I'm sure.
Was there anything remarkable about that that stood out in your mind when he turned the keys in?
Not that comes right to mind, no.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you. Hold on, Mr. Amadeo, I have some questions for you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
Just a couple questions. If I heard you correctly, did you say you assumed that John wanted unemployment? Did he ever tell that to you?
No.
Okay.
No, he did not say that.
So there could have been other possibilities.
Correct.
And when he went to Florida, do you know if he was taking his children there, if he was visiting family? Any knowledge about that?
I do not know if they were with him at that time or not.
And how many times have you spoken to the police about this case?
Quite a number of times, obviously right after it happened, and then sporadically through the years.
Okay, what was the content of those conversations? Were they asking you questions? Were they telling you things?
Pretty much everything we've discussed so far is just rehashing all that over and over again.
Would it be fair to say you don't have any knowledge about the evidence of this case?
Yes, that would be true.
Okay, thank you. That's fair, sir.
No redirect, Your Honor. Thank you. You're all set.
You may step down, you may remain in the courtroom if you wish, you may leave. You call your next witness.
This witness is going to be David McFarland. We're checking to see if he's here at this point. He has not arrived yet, Your Honor. I don't know if you want to wait a second or take a short break.
McFarland's are usually late, Judge.
We'll stipulate to that, by the way. We'll stipulate to that.
And I like the McFarland's a lot.
Thank you.
All right, how long is she?
Ready?
How long is I knew that's why you were looking like that.
Not yet.
So you can see that they were working on going through the cross-examination of Pastor Donna Galloway. A lot of emotion there. I don't think they were trying to trip her off. They were just trying to get the facts straight, right? From both defense and prosecution. I think she did a pretty good job of remembering and sharing that information. A lot of emotion. You can hear her in her voice wiggling, right? I've been there before too. It's difficult sometimes when you're under anxiety, stress, pressure in the moment, the kind of thing. But it doesn't indicate that you're hiding something or trying to give false testimony, in my opinion. But then we moved on to a couple of gentlemen that worked with him, knew him slightly, somewhat, nothing personal, it seemed. The comment about he could bury someone in the swamp area, but I believe the first statement was you could borrow some, like in general, you could bury somebody in the swamp area and never be found. I guess it's a comment that you make on a side note, but when you put it together in context, it does make you stop and think. Anyway, so they just took a short break because the next witness has not arrived yet. I'm going to move forward since I do this stuff off time so that we can go right into it. So let's see. How long did we wait? Okay. So now, see how we jump forward? I'm a time traveler. What? So let's get to the next. Yeah, let's use that one, shall we? Okay. And now we're going to continue with the morning session.
Please rise. Raise your right hand.
I will.
Please be seated. And would you state your full name and spell both first and last for the record?
My name is David McFarland, D-A-V-I-D. Last name is McFarland, M-C-F-A-R-L-A-N-D.
Remain clear.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McFarland, you are an attorney, is that correct?
That is correct.
How long have you been an attorney for?
30 years.
And what is your current job?
I'm currently the director of the Lenawee County Front of the Court.
And how long have you had that position?
I've had that position since 2022.
What is the Lenawee County Front of the Court? What do you do?
The Lenawee County Front of the Court's job is to assist children in having child support paid to them. We also assist with parenting time and custody issues. Occasionally, we will also intervene in alimony situations.
And prior to that, you had your own legal practice.
That is correct.
And inclusive in that legal practice was family law.
That's correct.
Okay. In that capacity, do you recall coming in contact with Tanya Zuvers, Tanya Skelton back in 2010?
I do.
And how did you first come in contact with her?
For the best of my recollection, she would have contacted the office to set up an appointment, and we would have met with her in September of 2010.
Did you actually meet with her? Do you recall meeting with her in her office sometime at some point in time?
Yes, I meet with all new clients in my office. First, they're in the waiting room, and then they're brought back to me, and I take down the basic information to file a divorce complaint and any further documents that are needed.
Do you recall when you first met with her?
Well, I filed her divorce complaint on the 13th, so it would be either September 13th, 2010. So it'd either been that date or the day before.
Do you recall on September 13th that there being a situation of some urgency?
Yes, there was.
What do you recall of that?
So I have reviewed the court records, and what I refreshed from that is that there had been a situation where the children were with father, two of the boys were, and the third child was with Tanya.
All right, let me approach, Your Honor. Yeah. Let me show you what is marked as People's Exhibit number 17. Ask if you could identify that for us, please.
That would be a complaint for divorce that I prepared from Skelton.
And what is the date of that complaint?
September 13th, 2010.
And this was done during the day when the situation that you just described was happening.
That's correct.
And it appears to me in that document, even though it's a what we call a DM case, a divorce with children, Mrs. Skelton, now Mrs. Zuvers, does not sign that document. You sign that document. Is that correct?
I'll look at it. Yes, the actual document itself, I signed as her attorney.
And again, because of the urgency involved in this, the complaint for divorce doesn't even request child support. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In a normal situation, that when you're filing for a divorce with children, and one of the prerequisites here in Lenawee County is something related to a front of the court hearing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Could you explain that, please?
So in Lenawee County, new individuals who are going through divorce have to go through what's called financial intake. At that financial intake, their financial situation is assessed. There's a recommendation as to what type of parenting time should occur. And then based on those factors, a child support recommendation is made. There's a 21-day time period that the parties have a right to file an objection before it becomes an order.
So this was all being filed on not 9/13 of 2010, with only you signing the document. Was that in part to get this through quickly?
Yes.
9/13 of 2010. Do you recall what day of the week that is?
I do not remember off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm going to show you a 2010 calendar, September.
It's a Monday.
You said that was a Monday. You said that with kind of like a wow in your voice.
Well, Mondays are motion days in the morning, so those are crammed days in the morning, and then the afternoons are our pre-trials for the attorneys who practice divorce. So it'd be a very jam-packed day.
All right, now I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 18 and number 19. First of all, let's start with 18. What is that?
That's an ex parte motion to not change domicile.
And this is a document that you prepared as well?
That's correct.
And what was the intention of this document?
The intention of this document was to keep the children of the parties here in the state of Michigan, more specifically in Morenci.
And what is the date of this document?
That is dated the same date as the complaint, September 13, 2010.
Okay. And exhibit number 19?
Now I'm looking at 19.
And what is that?
That is an
Sorry, I paused it there. And just a few minutes ago, he had a wow moment. And what I want to add to that is that it kind of gives the defense some information. Now it sounds like it was a really, really busy day, rushing things around. Could things have been processed quickly and incorrectly, possibly, right? So it kind of lets the defense have some questions, which we may see the defense counsel ask these type of questions. But when you have a reaction like that on the stand, it kind of raises your eyebrow from the defense attorney to say, wait a minute, maybe there's something there that can get a technicality issue. I don't know, just my opinion, but But I thought I would point it out because I think somebody else out there may have thought the same thing. Let's continue. Oh, and I'm working on posting my shorts from yesterday. There are quite a few. So I apologize if I'm not staring at the screen, but I have two screens with the court case going on. So
Parte, I put in motion, but the court had written on top of that order to not change domicile.
So this was the proposed order to your ex parte motion that you filed. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. And was that document signed?
That document was signed by Judge Noe.
On what day?
September 13th, 2010.
So all of this is occurring on that Monday.
That's correct.
And you indicated that someone crossed out the word motion and wrote in the word order.
That's correct.
Did you do that or did someone else do that?
I think if I would have done that, I would have actually reprinted the entire document because it's kind of embarrassing to just file something with a word crossed out.
But you were hustling.
Yes, I was.
Is there anything else handwritten in there?
Yes, the judge has written in further, the minor children shall remain in Morenci schools until other order of this court.
And that was written in below the printed in portion of the order?
Below the typed section, yes.
What does that portion of the order state?
Okay. It says upon reading the ex parte motion and to not change domicile in the court being fully advised in the premises, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that neither party is to change the domicile of the party's minor children, Andrew Ryan Skelton, DOB 11-2021, Alexander William Skelton, DOB 11-4-2003, and Tanner Lucas Skelton, DOB 10-20-2005, outside of the state of Michigan until further order of this court.
And then below that was the area that was handwritten in.
That is correct.
Okay. So all of this was hustled through on September 13th.
That is correct.
On a Monday, which is a tough day to get things done in this courthouse.
That's correct, because Monday mornings are motion days in front of the court on family law matters, and then Monday afternoons are pretrials on family law matters.
And during this stretch of time when you're getting these papers together, you're aware of what's going on?
Yes.
What's going on?
What's going on is that the two children have been removed from the state of Michigan and are traveling potentially out of state, and that mother is panicking and immediately hiring me and wants to know what can be done that day.
I'm going to show you next what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 20. You identify that document?
That's an ex parte order for exclusive parenting time that was drafted by myself as well.
And this was done, this was signed on what day?
This was signed on September 15th, 2010 at 1:37 p.m.
So this would be the Wednesday of this week. If the 13th is a Monday.
Yes, it would be a Wednesday.
So what happened, and I assume, we didn't mark it, but I assume this was also accompanied by a petition of some sort on your behalf?
It would have to be.
So what happened from Monday to Wednesday that generated you doing this?
So after looking at the court files, I see that father was headed out of state, wanted critical information regarding the minor children, such as birth certificates, et cetera, so that they could then be relocated to Florida. At that point, we had to take it a step further beyond changing domicile to an ex parte order for exclusive parenting time.
And at this point in time, are you aware that your client is on her way to Florida or maybe in Florida?
I don't think I had I had brief communication with her, but she was traveling, and so some of those events happened outside of the scope of my knowledge.
Did you become aware that they had reached Florida? Did you become aware that they had gone to Florida at some point in time in the divorce proceedings?
Yes, yes.
And did you become aware at some point in time what had happened in Florida?
I had learned roughly the 27th that Harvey Kaselka had been retained as the attorney for the defendant. And I think on the 28th is when a motion had been signed by the judge in Florida bumping the case back to Michigan.
Okay, I'm going to approach again, Your Honor, and I'll show Mr. McFarland Exhibit 21. Can you identify that for us, please?
That's a final order regarding return of the children to Michigan. And that would have been a document, as it shows on the very top, from the Circuit Court of the 4th Judicial Circuit in and for Duval County, Florida.
This is a document you did not draft.
That is correct.
This is a document that was drafted in Florida, signed in Florida, but later converted and put into the court file here in Lenawee County as part of the chain of what happens.
That is correct.
Okay. There's a footnote at the bottom of the first page of this. Well, before we get to the footnote, who signed this order?
This order is signed by Circuit Court Judge Karen K. Cole. And on September 20th, 2010, it's stamped over her name.
So September 20 is what day on our calendar?
That too is a Monday.
So we're talking about 1 week after you filed the complaint for divorce here in Lenawee County.
Yes, and then, yes,
Go ahead. You finish.
okay. And then also the judge had signed that the children were not to be leaving the state of Michigan. as well.
Right. So in that stretch of time, you obtained a exclusive parenting time order, and all of this generated Judge Cole's order that was drafted, and you just read the date that she signed that.
That is correct.
Now, again, refer to that footnote on the top page of that document. I'd ask you to read that into the record, please.
Including that the wife is a registered sex offender in Michigan as a result of a reported brief involvement 19 years ago with a 14-year-old boy. The wife served a prison sentence and completed parole. The wife and husband both testified that the wife has had no additional criminal or sex abuse involvement since that time.
So thereafter, they all get back to Michigan. Is that accurate?
Yes,
And Mr. Skelton hires an attorney.
yes.
And I think you alluded earlier who that attorney was. Who did he hire?
Mr. Harvey Kaselka.
Okay, Harvey Kaselka became Mr. Skelton's attorney. And did you know Mr. Kaselka prior to him becoming Mr. Skelton's attorney?
Yes, he was a circuit court judge and I appeared in front of him numerous times.
So prior to him, after his judicial practice ended, he went back into private practice as an attorney handling family law matters, much like yourself.
That's correct.
Do you have knowledge as to what Mr. Kaselka's role was in Lenawee County prior to him becoming a judge?
It's my understanding that he was previously a prosecutor before being the circuit court judge.
He was a prosecuting attorney here in Lenawee County.
Yes.
Okay. Next document I'm going to show you is People's Proposed Exhibit. I guess it is admitted exhibit. These are all admitted previously, David McFarland. Number 22. Can you identify that for us, please?
That is a motion to rescind all previous custody orders and to grant defendant physical custody of the party's minor children.
What's the date of that document?
It is court stamped September 27th, 2010.
So this would have been approximately 1 week after Judge Cole's order.
Yes, again, another Monday.
So in the interim, Mr. Skelton apparently hired Mr. Kaselka, and this motion was filed to push the matter forward. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right. Now, is there a hearing date on that document at all, anywhere?
yes. On the third page, it indicates notice of hearing set for Monday, October 18th, 2010 at 10:30 a.m. before the Honorable Margaret M.S. Milley.
Now, in between that period of time, some discussions occurred about parenting time.
Those discussions would not have occurred with me, but between the parties.
Talking about Mr. and Mrs. Skelton.
Yes.
Okay. I'm next going to show you People's Proposed Exhibit number 23. Can you identify that for us, please?
It is a stipulation. And the next page is an order regarding parenting time, and it shows it was signed by the judge on October 11th, Judge Noe, on October 11th, 2010.
Is this a document that you prepared?
Yes.
Okay, and you did that at the direction of your client?
Yes.
What was the stipulation?
The stipulation was a stipulation regarding parenting time.
Okay, so what exactly were the details of that?
Defendant father shall have parenting time with the party's minor children every Wednesday from after school until 7 p.m. beginning October 6th, 2010. Second clause says the defendant father shall have parenting time with the party's minor children every other weekend from Friday at 5 p.m. to Sunday at 7 p.m. beginning October 8th, 2010. Third, that the defendant father will not consume alcohol of any kind while he is exercising parenting time with the party's minor children. 4, this order will remain in effect until the hearing date of October 18th, 2010, currently scheduled in this manner.
The October 18th hearing date was the one related to the motion filed by Mr. Kaselka on behalf of Mr. Skelton.
Yes.
And did that hearing ever occur?
I do not remember it ever occurring.
In essence, the stipulation resolved that issue.
Yes.
Now, from that time onward, in a divorce case involving minor children, it would eventually have been a pretrial set, right?
That's correct.
And we're talking about the middle of October. As we get into November, what's going on with the divorce, if anything?
I do not recall much happening at that point at all. In other words, there was not a lot of communication between myself and my client, meaning that there were no hot button issues that I needed to address.
Things begin to pick up significantly for you the day after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
What happens the day after Thanksgiving as it relates to your involvement in this matter?
So I was working in the office the day the court was closed, trying to get caught up on cases, and I received a phone call from Skelton.
And what did she advise you of?
She advised me that she was at the house where Mr. Skelton resided. And there was no evidence of where the children were.
So there was visitation for Mr. Skelton on Thanksgiving period?
Unbeknownst to me, yes.
So that would have been set as differently than the stipulation and order for the parenting time, correct?
Beyond the scope of it, yes.
Yes, in addition to it.
Yes.
Okay. And when she makes this phone call to you, she's concerned about the children's whereabouts.
Extremely
How was her demeanor?
panicked.
What happens next?
She wants to have some sort of a police present. No one will take her seriously.
She indicated to you she tried to call the police?
Yes.
Okay. What happens next?
I believe she called the Morenci police, and she was not getting anyone to come out there to help her. So I told her I would call them.
Did she ask if she could go into the home?
Yes.
This would have been her home
Yes.
that she had before, but she was separated from her then husband.
Correct.
Okay. She asked you if she could enter the home. What did you say to her?
No, don't.
And why did you say that to her?
I just thought if it's a crime scene, and if she goes in there, it could disturb some of the evidence that's in that house.
So you indicated you called the police department in Morenci.
I believe it was Morenci.
What happens next?
I let them know that this was a serious matter and that someone needed to come out there immediately.
And did they do that then?
From talking to Tanya, yes, they did.
So in that short-term period on the day of November 26th, do you know what happens in the immediate aftermath of that phone call?
No, I don't remember at that point what happened further. I mean, I know we needed to proceed further to do something, like filed with the court, but no, I don't remember anything further on that day.
So by the time the weekend is over, you're brought up to speed and you're doing more court pleadings on Monday. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm going to show you next what's been admitted to evidence as People's Exhibit number 24. Can you identify that for us, please?
That's an ex parte order for exclusive parenting time.
And again, this would have been accompanied by a petition to the court.
Yes, an ex parte motion.
And was that ex parte order approved?
Yes, it was signed by the judge, Judge Noe, on November 29th, 2010 at 3:47 p.m.
Another Monday.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have the notes on the November calendar, but
What does that order state?
that states, upon reading the ex parte motion for exclusive parenting time and the court being fully advised in the premises, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that plaintiff mother Tanya Lynn Skelton shall have exclusive parenting time with the parties' minor children. Andrew Ryan Skelton, date of birth 11/20/21, Alexander William Skelton, date of birth 11/4/2003, and Tanner Lucas Skelton, date of birth 10/20/2005, until further order of this court.
Is that a document that you yourself prepared?
Absolutely.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Are you in agreement?
Wait a minute, maybe approach real quick, Your Honor.
We'll continue with cross.
Good morning, Mr. McCord.
Good morning.
I'm gonna be really quick. I know you have things to do, and I appreciate you taking the time. We both agree that you're a respected figure in this community as an attorney.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. And from what you testified, correct me if I'm wrong, but Tanya was your client, and there is privilege you have to stand by on some level, correct?
Tanya was my client. Yes.
And would it be fair to say that you actually were trying to get the police to help her because she seemed to be ignored?
I was trying to get the police to help her because no one would respond to her.
So you were actually helping your client.
Yes.
Who was the judge at the divorce decree?
From the documents I've looked at, it's the Margaret M.S. Noe.
I told you that Margaret Nelly was also the judge at his previous criminal plea. Would you challenge that?
I don't know anything about his previous criminal case.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Previous, you mean
The kidnapping charge that he
okay,
pled to.
but that would have been after the.
Right. And that's why he may not have known, Judge. That's why I asked the question the way I did.
All right. You may step down.
Thank you.
Now we'll take our minutes.
Thank you.
Return it once.
All right, please.
She?
Hey, David.
Should be emergency.
Yes. She had
Let me
an
find out.
adverse reaction to some medication.
It's going to be okay with
I
that?
think so.
Okay. All right.
So once again, this time to take a break. I'm sure everyone could use a stretching of legs or a restroom break, that kind of thing. So they will be coming back momentarily. And of course, I will fast forward so we can get started momentarily. But you can see that this gentleman has such a deep, confident voice. I wouldn't question him twice. He has documentation. He's validated that he's signed off. He's explained the situation. His jest about the Monday wow moment, I think it's going to come up. I don't know because it hasn't happened yet, but I think the defense may ask questions about that. I just feel like it's going to be part of their defense. So we shall see. Now, I'm going to slide forward. Nope. Nope, that's it for the session. I think they broke for lunch. I must not have been paying attention because I was working on stuff. So we will end the stream here and pick up on part 2, day 2, part 2. That way we will catch it. Again, I like to start a little bit later than they do so that we can move forward and certain breaks and stuff like that. So hang in there with me. Watch for the next posting for my stream, and we'll probably set it up. I'll set it up now, but oh, hey, Llama. What is the moment the couch? Sorry, what was the wow moment? I didn't get to watch yesterday. No, it was okay. It was earlier today before you joined. And basically, when he got his first document that he had worked with Tanya Zuvers, who used to be Skelton, Mrs. Skelton, and she had provided to the Friends of the Court, which is he is now the supervisor, and they processed it on the 13th, right? And he made a moment in his verbiage and his facial expression saying that, well, Mondays are our busy day because we do the a lot of court document and appearances and things like that. So they do a lot of activity. So that's why I think that might come into the defense's question to say, well, could it be that it was a very busy day and things may not have happened appropriately? Is that why you signed it and she didn't sign it? Or questions along those lines? Because he did sign the document, and in his response was to move things along quickly for her due to the fact that John had requested to take the boys out of state. And that was very concerning for her as a mother. So that was, and he came across that way, right? He made a big wow moment and called it Wow Monday, and it was a Monday. So you'll see if you replay it, but I hope that answers your question, so you know. And I think it's not a major wow, but it could be part of the defense questions now. They may have added that, tacked it on. So I don't know if they're asking for a new judge, to be honest with you, Lama. All this is an evidentiary hearing over the next yesterday through tomorrow, most likely. And it's basically to determine if there's enough, prosecution has enough evidence to hold the case over or bound the case over for trial. So we shall see. And it is interesting. Thank you for that. It is, because anytime you show any kind of emotional break or a major thing like that on a witness stand, right, everybody pays attention. So I'm wondering just how the defense counsel may or may not handle it and how they're going to, the questions they may ask. We shall see. So thank you again for watching the day 2 part 1. And I'll get day 2 part 2 set up momentarily, and then watching the clock to see when it starts, and I'll match it up. I usually try to start 30 minutes after it starts. So it gives us a chance to move things forward. Do you know what I mean? So we don't have to sit there during breaks. Okay. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you in a little bit, or see you on the next one. Take care.